All right, everybody, welcome back to Unstuck. This week, I have a very special guest, Priya. She not only lives down the hall from me, but I've also known her for going on 11 years now.
11. It's 11 years.
It's a bit tough, but here we are. We've somehow found ourselves living in the same building. But anyway, this week, we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be answering popular questions from the internet. And a lot of people on Reddit are really going through it right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it's
God,
very
we've gotta
bad.
help them.
We have to help out Reddit. As we know, Reddit is like the fuel for AI, so
Yes.
we need to fuel ChatGPT.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I know you have a personal love for
I do.
AI.
I do love AI. I use it daily. I have many questions to it.
You showed me your AI chat history,
Uh-huh.
and it seems like you're texting the AI
We're
as a
friends
friend.
in a way. Yeah.
Okay.
Big fan.
Yeah, I read an article that was like, you can develop emotional attachments to AI,
I might. I
And you
certainly have a dependence of sorts.
and you might have it. And you might have
we'll
a
see.
dependence. Anyway, so the reason I invited Priya is because she herself has done a lot of work to get where she is and has a lot of opinions about corporate culture and honestly just opinions in general.
Sure. A lot of opinions generally.
Yeah, so I wanted to get your take on some of these very important career questions.
Very excited.
Okay, so the first one, let's just get right into it. The first one is, what's something you didn't realize is going to consume so much of your time as an adult?
Oh man.
Almost everything.
It is almost everything. I feel like just like the logistics of living, like driving places, going to work out, doing your laundry, like things that shouldn't take time somehow just eat up about 10 to 12 hours of your week. And it's very tough.
Speaking of eating up, I've noticed that the thing that takes me the most time as an adult is feeding myself.
Oh gosh.
I'm always having to think about what my groceries are going to be, like what my next meal is going to be, what I'm
Yes.
going to bring for lunch to work tomorrow. Like all these, I'm just like, it never ends.
It never ends. I think just living basically seems to take up more time than I think. But yeah, you really do have to optimize. I mean, I feel like I don't have a ton of time for cooking, so I have a bit of a reliance on DoorDash.
Bit of a DoorDash reliance.
But yeah,
It is tough. I feel like you just college is such an interesting place because it really lets you kind of not think about the logistics of being alive.
Yes.
And you just kind of like are relying on distractions 24/7. So it's a
Right.
bit of a shock to the system whenever you start
yes.
being an adult.
I think, certainly for people as well in their late 20s, early 30s who live in one beds, I think just managing life alone takes up a ton of time.
You're telling me, sister. Okay.
Whoever that may be.
Yeah, so there's your answer. User Chasing Brave 1993.
Chasing Brave.
And I might be
also
chasing Brave
as well.
1993.
So.
Okay, here's an interesting one. I am so sick of office work. Should I do a career change?
Oh.
I'm 25 years old, married, no children. Technically, I have made it, I guess. I make $75K. Me and my wife pull in $9,300 a month. But I'm bored. I work in IT. I am so sick of office work. Should I switch careers?
Sick of office work, definitely, because you doubled down on that.
He said it twice, yeah.
I feel like if you find a job, even if it's within an office that you really like, it doesn't feel like office work. I feel like that sentiment comes from you probably have an underlying reason for why you don't like the job that you're doing. It doesn't cater towards your strengths, doesn't fulfill you, you don't feel passionate about it. So it sounds like they might need a switch, but that can be in and out of an office.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say, like, if I'm thinking back on all the times I've been frustrated with office work, it wasn't really so much the office itself. It was like the underlying job.
Yes.
And the office was just a symptom of that underlying frustration.
100%. I feel like when I love my job, no worries about going into the office. It's a beautiful life. But once that starts to change, then
yeah, because you have experienced both, and I think so have I. Like during COVID, both of us were obviously remote.
Yes.
So that was like a bit of a break from office.
Yeah.
After COVID, I didn't go back into the office ever, and you kind of immediately went back into the office.
Yes.
So what was like the difference between the two?
I think when you feel really fulfilled and you absolutely love your job, going into the office can be great because you get to interact with people that you work with and you're able to have all this engaging conversation. I think when you're stressed and unfulfilled, it feels like it takes up extra time that you don't have because you're already kind of trying to make ends meet and at your wit's end. And so I think you're exactly right. Like, I think your sentiment about your job probably feeds how you feel about office work.
Yeah. So for that, I would say the office work itself probably isn't the main issue.
Yeah.
I think, and it's okay. I've been in this position before where you just like truly don't care about your job. So I would look a little bit deeper. I would think about what you could possibly do in order to like get out of that position of that exact job. Like, I don't know if it's an issue with your industry that you chose or if it's like the specific company. Sometimes it can be one or the other. But I would say like maybe take a look inward and kind of explore maybe some different interests and use that free time. It sounds like you have a lot of free time. Use some of that free time to explore some different interests and hobbies and see if you can make money. I know people that are really good at tech and IT and computer stuff are making side hustles left and right. You can whip up a website in 20 minutes probably. Just see what you can do in your free time.
Yeah, using AI perhaps.
Using AI. Okay. The next one is one that I think you might like.
Oh man.
Actually, we'll save this one for later because it's good.
Oh.
What is a quote you've heard that changed your life?
Okay. I have one, but you might think it's lame.
It's okay. Even if I do, I won't tell you.
Right. I think the quote that changed my life, or a quote that I like, is I think it's like life is like a game of cards. The hand you're dealt is fate. The way you play it is free will. So I think like you're, in life, you can't really control where you come into the world and what demographic you are, what income demo you are, the level of education in your early years, all of that. But I think throughout life, if you kind of aim to be in whatever the top right of your quadrant that you're aiming for is, you can kind of continuously level up over time and get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. I like that because I think the underlying theme there is like you do at some point have to kind of accept the cards that you were dealt.
You sure do.
And let me tell you.
Some of us have spent a long time accepting those cards.
But I think, the sooner that you accept it, the less painful life becomes, because I think a lot of times we forget that it truly is the case that life isn't fair. Some of us were just dealt lesser hands, but honestly, like you find worth in what you do with those things.
Yes.
Like how you make a life for yourself, how you get out of that situation, how you level up.
Yeah.
Doing those things and like the journey of doing it is kind of like the meaningful part of life.
Yes.
And kind of my quote actually kind of piggybacks off of that. We obviously usually have the same answer for things.
It's life is like a game of cards.
Life is like a game of cards. I don't know if you're familiar. No, but mine is the way that you get through suffering is by attaching meaning to it. And this concept actually comes from Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you're familiar. He was a prisoner in Auschwitz.
Oh.
Yeah. And he survived the Holocaust. He survived the concentration camps. And he says that the way he did that is by waking up every day and assigning meaning to his suffering and giving himself a purpose to make it out. So basically his purpose was, I'm going to make it out to tell people about this. Like that's my purpose, to tell people about the story and how I survived and how they can survive hardships in their life. And that was literally how he got through it. And he said that he obviously witnessed so much death and suffering that he said the second he saw someone lose sight of that, they were gone within 24 hours.
Wow.
They just couldn't make it past that. So that's kind of parallel to life, right?
Yeah.
You can let the situation, the circumstances kind of take you out, or you can lean into them and use them as a way to get further in life.
Yeah, no, that's great. I feel like so much of this stuff is mental as well. I mean, it's so much about what your podcast is about too. That's amazing.
Not you plugging my podcast on my podcast. Thank you, my friend.
Unstuck by Ethan Grant.
Exactly. Okay. Well, the next one I think is fun.
What is it?
It's a bit of a surprise for you. What happens between 25 and 28 that so many people find their life partner?
Well, beats me, my friend. For those who have found their life partner, I would imagine, I think your priorities shift, or they start to shift. You know, there's like that dating analogy that sometimes people will use about guys, about like a taxi cab having their light on, like if
taxi cab theory.
Yes,
I'm familiar.
Yes. So I feel like it's like that when in those later years in your 20s, you start to not say yes to every single friend event or every single concert and start going on dates, and kind of a numbers game.
It is a bit of a numbers game. My opinion is that when you kind of reach mid to late 20s,
Yeah.
you get to this point where things that used to fulfill you no longer do. And everyone goes through this, right? It's the same timing as like Saturn returns, which is like 27, 28.
Sure.
And what happens is you spend the majority of your early and mid 20s replicating what you've known to be true for most of your life. Like you basically use those years as a continuation of college. And you kind of are going out on the weekends. And then once you reach 25, your friends kind of like start to drop off one by one in that lifestyle, in that sense. And they realize that things aren't as fulfilling to them anymore. And so they start to switch up their priorities and like their actions, to your point. And they start being more intentional about spending their free time saying no to things they don't want to do and saying yes to things that maybe they enjoy doing. And the reason that works is because whenever you do things that you're interested in, that's like when you're the most attracted to other people.
Yeah.
And so
I think part of it is also quite literally physical, like when a night out just takes such a toll later in life. I think when you start weighing up benefits and consequences, you're like, what did I gain from that night out and what did I pay for? And you paid a lot.
You pay a high price. And even honestly for us, like when we both came back from COVID in like 2021, sorry, we're talking about COVID so much. I'm trying to pretend like it didn't happen, but I can't stop talking about it. But when we came back from COVID, we kind of were going out, I would say 3 to 4 times a week.
Yeah, we were going out a lot. Because we were locked up before.
We were. We were rebelling against COVID.
We were.
Well, not against the restrictions because LA was kind of opening up at that time, but we were rebelling against the fact that we were locked up.
Well, LA was very locked down as well. So,
And I think we both kind of got to this point where we were going out so much. And then I think we realized one day, or at least I did, I was like, wait, we've had the same night probably 18 times where we go out, have like 8 tequila sodas, and don't talk to anybody else besides our group.
We actually could have been avatars. Like I could tell you exactly what we would have done on any given night out. Who we would have talked to, what we would have ordered.
We were kind of playing Sims 4.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, so I think you just get to this point where things that you were doing become less fulfilling. You switch up your routine and then you meet people because of that change. So
yeah, I feel that.
There you go. Rose 518, Rice 518.
Right. Well, I hope you find your life partner.
I hope you find your life partner. Just lean into the fact that your life is changing and lean into doing things that you enjoy doing, and you will attract someone that finds you attractive because whenever you're doing something you love, you're very attractive.
But also the dating landscape is changing. So you do got to go on the apps, unfortunately.
You do. And I can make a whole other episode about dating in this and being stuck dating
in this day and age.
But I think it's a necessary evil. It's just a numbers game. It's like an exposure game, honestly.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. I like this one because I think both of us have struggled with this throughout college and I think overcome it. And I'm overcoming it every day by hosting my podcast, and you overcome it every day by talking to randoms.
Unstuck by Ethan Grant.
Unstuck by Ethan Grant. Available on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. I want to learn what I can do to stop shaking when talking in front of a lot of people. I have a terrible fear of public speaking. How can I address this?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I personally overcome it, but I feel like I have overcome other things where you could apply a similar technique. Similar to like when someone has a panic attack, they have like 5 sensory things that you can do to calm yourself down in a nerve-wracking situation. So I think it's like, have something around you that feels, comforting, like a blanket, or it's like a scent. Like people have, I don't know, maybe someone loves Marc Jacobs, Daisy, someone, I don't know who it could be.
I think I smell that Marc Jacobs Daisy in the room.
But like you have a roller, and so that way when you get nervous, you're able to like smell something and immediately it kind of calms you down. I feel like the senses are very powerful. So doing something in that realm.
I like that. Helpful. Okay, so basically like hacking your body into being comfortable.
Yeah. You have to trick yourself.
And I have another trick for you. So I recently found out that fear and excitement live in the same area of your brain. So whenever you're scared of something, you can actually trick your brain and just do a little tiny hop into telling yourself that you're excited to do it.
Oh, I like that.
And so I've never personally succeeded at this or tried it.
Right.
But instead of saying, okay, I'm so scared of public speaking, you literally tell yourself and trick yourself into saying, actually, I'm excited to do this. And your brain can't really tell the difference because it's a new experience and it's something that you're uncomfortable with, but it actually like helps you work through it. And you can trick yourself into being excited to do it.
Wait, I like that. I want to use that during like the next earthquake in LA. Be like, I'm not scared. I'm excited.
You won't have to wait long to try that out.
I also think another thing that could help is, the therapist, like how therapists will ask why and why and why until you get to a root issue or root cause. Doing that, being like, okay, why am I scared? Okay, is it because people are gonna think this about me? Okay, let's say they do. What's the worst that could happen? Like once you actually trace that down, I don't know, sometimes the consequences aren't as bad as you think.
And sometimes when you trace that down all the way to the bottom, you uncover some limiting beliefs that you might have, some negative beliefs about yourself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, okay, why would you be scared? And then your answer is because people will see this about me.
Yes.
And it's like, why would you care if they see that about you? And you're like, because I don't like that thing in myself.
Yes.
Or something like that.
I have definitely gone through that thread and had a tough look in the mirror a few times. But
and it's revealing.
But it's useful. It's really useful. And also useful when you realize like, oh, I would be nervous because I would think that about me. But wait, nobody else actually feels that way. So why am I nervous?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is from Mediocre Mechanic 46.
Oh.
And they say, how does someone cope with the fact that so much time has passed them by? I'm 53 and let my life pass me by. I'm so envious of younger people that have everything ahead of them and can make changes. What would you recommend for this person? And I can go first if you want me to.
Up to you. Sounds like you might want to. You go first.
I'll take this one. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So honestly, there's two things I would suggest. One is more positive and one is a bit of tough love, which I get a lot. So I'm willing to give it a lot.
Almost only tough love, some would say.
Only tough love.
Some would say almost no love, just tough.
Just tough. And some of my people, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
First would be a reframe. I would say, while it is feeling late in life and you do feel maybe your time has passed you, I know a lot of very successful people didn't make it until they were very much older. Like I think Oprah started her TV network when she was like 35.
Yeah.
Ellen started interviewing people at like 32. I don't think Warren Buffett got rich until his 40s.
Yeah.
So there's always more time ahead of you, and you can always change your relationship to where you are. Instead of viewing it as a negative, viewing it as an opportunity to make the most out of every day left. The second would be a bit of tough love. And I would say being realistic about where you are in life and accepting that position, but then at the same time, not wasting any more time feeling negative about it and just pursuing things that you deeply love from now on and only spending time in your week doing things that you're deeply fascinated by, because as you get, later in life, the amount of free time that you have kind of opens up, but it's your responsibility to make sure that free time is filled with things that you're passionate about. And it seems to me like reading this question that perhaps there's a lack of that in your life. And I would say the most realistic thing you can do is just not waste one more week doing things that you don't enjoy, because once you start doing things that you do actually enjoy, you start attracting the right people into your life, you start feeling more fulfilled, and you start living life again. So that was my answer.
Yeah, no, it's good. I totally agree. First of all, I would say, age is just a number. I feel like I know, and stage of life is such a part of it as well. I feel like I know some people in their 50s and 60s who are just starting companies and who have such a zest for life and who, are really excited to go in and learn every day and dive into a new sector. And I know some people in their 20s that are like, I'm married with kids and I'm content and, are happy with that kind of lifestyle. So part of it, I think, isn't necessarily due to age. I I think reframing it as an opportunity is massive. I think if you are kind of going into a new venture in your 50s versus in your 20s, you're probably going to make a lot more mistakes in your 20s. Like you just have so much more wisdom, and you're able to foresee a lot of challenges because you've lived life and you just know more. So I think it's a huge opportunity.
I like that a lot. I would actually say that something you said resonated with me, and you said, people in their 40s, 50s that are just starting ventures that are deeply fulfilling to them. But you also know people in their 20s that are settled down, have kids, and they're happy. And I think what I'm hearing, the subtext of this question is that perhaps you've gotten to this point in life because you never took the time to sit down and decide what you really want. Yeah. Because someone in their 20s could be happy, but they decided what they wanted, and it's that they're settled down, they have kids, and that's fulfilling to them. Yeah. The real crux of the problem, I think, isn't that it's late in life. It's that maybe you need to spend time deciding what it is that you actually want in life. And the only way to do that is to sit down, be quiet, get to know yourself, because nothing externally can answer that question besides you.
I think also what you want in life probably changes over your long arc. Like maybe in your 40s, when you're kind of newer into having a family, you're like, wait, this is amazing. This is what I want. And then at some point you're like, well, I actually want something different to be fulfilled. So like, it could be misalignment of like, I thought I was happy with this and I was happy with this, and now I'm not. Wow.
Yeah, that's true. So I think still the suggestion either way would be to get familiar with yourself right. and like learn how to trust yourself again. So I would say that's true. Yeah. Last question, and perhaps the most relevant.
Oh my God.
For me, at least.
Okay. What is it?
Okay. I have no desire for a job. A lot of hardworking people will get pissed off at me or simply think that I have no life and that I'm lazy. And that is partially true, especially right now. So what can I do if I have no desire to work?
People say like, oh, when you find something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. But I also know a lot of people who are doing things they love, even if they are not defined as a job, and it's a lot of work. Yeah. So I think part of it is accepting that for a certain kind of lifestyle or I don't know, to go on trips that you want to go on, or to, eat at restaurants that you want to go to, like acceptance is, I think, key. Like you do have to work. I think if you are doing something that you love, that work feels better, that you're working on something fulfilling.
Yeah. I think the happiest people in life that I've experienced, obviously none of them sitting in this room right now.
I've never met them. Who are they?
They've figured out a way to align what they're actually interested in doing with this concept of working, right? Yeah. Like the happiest people I know have figured out how to make income from doing a thing they love, which is like such cliche advice. But I think it seems really difficult looking at those people because it seems like they have it all figured out. Yeah. But the secret behind that and the hack is that they've made incremental steps towards that point at every point in their life. They didn't just wake up and fall into that one day. Yeah. And the way they did that was by pulling out the thread of what they're interested in and spending time diving deep into it, and then unraveling that web and kind of following the thread all the way down the rabbit hole to see where it leads them. And along the way, they learned about themselves. They figured out what they wanted, what they didn't want. And they just slowly aligned what they're doing for work with their passion. And they just became subject matter experts. And if you look at anybody that's successful in life, the way they got there, a lot of times it's luck, but most of the time it's by them diving deep into something, being an expert at it, having a unique perspective, bringing value. And the way they got successful was because someone just noticed them at the right moment. And they already were putting in the reps and the work to be that subject matter expert and get that exposure.
Yeah, I think this might be a tough love answer because I don't know anybody in the zeitgeist who is incredibly successful who didn't work. Like I do think a baseline level of work is required for a lot of typical definitions of success, but if you can find a way to be successful and not work, I mean, you just send that my way.
You send that our way. We're interested. But I will say, like, even after starting this podcast, while it is a lot of work, like in the technical sense, like I obviously set up all this equipment today. I'll have to edit the episode later. I like have to set on a newsletter and a YouTube channel, all these things to manage. But whenever I'm doing them, it doesn't feel like work. It feels more like the only thing I can liken it to is whenever you were a little kid and you get like a new Lego set, or you get like a Bionics. I don't know if you know if you're familiar with Bionics, or you get, I don't know, like a new little puzzle to put together. And it's like something that you're just doing by yourself and figuring out along the way. And you remove the charge from it, right? Everything is an opportunity to learn something.
Yeah.
It's not a negative. So if you can find work that feels like that, like when you were a little kid and you were deeply fascinated with, you know, finishing a project and learning something, that is the key. Finding something that is like that feeling, pursuing it, and then making that your job.
Yeah.
That's the key. It won't feel like work anymore after that. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Anyway, so Reddit, we've answered all of your questions. We solved Reddit, so
that's so exciting.
We did, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I can't wait to see one of these answers pop up on your AI app whenever you Google something.
I might have to create a profile chasing Brave too.
You might be chasing Brave 1994.
Yes.
Or 95.
5.
You're right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And I hope this was helpful. And I hope to do more of these sessions with Priya, my Reddit/AI expert friend, over time.
User.
More like user. But we'll be back in a few weeks with another session.
Yes.
So thanks, everyone.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye-bye.